He kept his work phone locked with a passcode. One day he forgot to take it. I answered a call that said, "Miss you already." I said, "This is his wife." "Who's this?" She said, "His what?" That's when the real conversation started. "My name is Sarah, and I've been married to Mark for 8 years. We met in college at the University of Texas at Austin, both studying business. After graduation, we moved to Dallas to start our careers. Mark landed a job in IT consulting, which often required him to travel. I worked in marketing for a local firm. Mark's job provided him with a company phone, which he always kept separate from his personal phone. He was meticulous about keeping it locked with a passcode, citing company policy and client confidentiality. I never questioned it. I trusted him. One Monday morning, Mark left for a week-long business trip to Chicago. As I was tidying up the house, I noticed his work phone on the kitchen counter. Assuming he forgot it, I planned to overnight it to his hotel. As I picked up the phone, it vibrated with an incoming call. The caller ID read, "Miss you already." Curious and slightly amused, I answered, thinking it might be a colleague with a quirky sense of humor. "Hello," I said. A woman's voice responded, "Hey, babe. I miss you already." I paused, taken aback. This is his wife. "Who's this?" There was a long silence. Then she said, "His what?" That's when the real conversation started. The woman on the other end introduced herself as Lisa. She was shocked to learn that Mark was married. They had been seeing each other for over a year, meeting during his business trips. He told her he was single, and they had even discussed moving in together. I felt my world shatter. The man I loved, trusted, and built a life with had been living a double life. I asked Lisa to send me any messages or photos she had as proof. She agreed, and within minutes, my phone was flooded with pictures of them together, romantic texts, and even plans for a future. I waited for Mark to return from his trip. When he walked through the door, I handed him his work phone and said, "You left this at home." He looked surprised but took it. I then showed him the messages and photos Lisa had sent me. His face turned pale. "I can explain," he stammered. "Save it," I replied. "I know everything." He confessed to the affair, claiming it was a mistake and that he still loved me. But the damage was done. Trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. I filed for divorce shortly after. The process was painful, but I knew it was the right decision. I leaned on friends and family for support, and slowly, I began to heal. I share my story not for sympathy, but as a cautionary tale. If something feels off in your relationship, trust your instincts. Communication and transparency are vital. Don't ignore red flags. So, after I confronted Mark and got the confession, you'd think that would be the end of it, right? It wasn't. Not even close. What I thought was one affair turned out to be just the beginning. And what came next still makes my stomach turn when I think about it. 2 weeks after Mark moved out, I got another message. This time it came from a number I didn't recognize, and it wasn't Lisa. It simply said, "You should know he told me you died." I froze. I sat there on my couch, holding my phone like it had caught fire. I didn't even know how to process those words. My hands were shaking. My heart started racing. I replied, "Who is this?" They responded right away. "My name's Clarissa. I met Mark at a conference in Miami. We've been seeing each other for 6 months. He told me he lost his wife to cancer last year. I found her number in his old messages and thought maybe I could. I don't know, find her family." I didn't expect you to answer. I read that message 5 times. My mouth went dry. My heart felt like it dropped straight to the floor. My husband, no, ex-husband, had told another woman I was dead. Not divorced. Not separated. Dead. After I got over the initial shock, I called her. I needed to hear it. I needed to know how deep this went. Clarissa was calm, polite, and clearly heartbroken. She told me everything. They had met at a tech conference in Miami. Mark told her he was grieving but trying to move on. She had been there for him, thinking she was helping a widower heal. She started crying during the call. "I don't understand how someone could lie about something like that," she said. "He even showed me photos of you and said you were his wife who passed away." That part hit me the hardest. He was using my own pictures to build a fake past for himself. And he made me into a dead woman. I told her she wasn't the only one. I told her about Lisa. Clarissa went quiet, then whispered, "How many of us are there?" I didn't have an answer. And honestly, I didn't want to find out. But part of me already knew the number was higher than 3. A few days after that, I was cleaning out the guest room where Mark used to keep some of his work stuff. I found one of his old laptops, his personal one. The one I never really touched. I powered it on. It was password protected, but I guessed right on the 3rd try. He used our wedding date. The irony. Once I got in, I found a folder on the desktop named Tax Docs. But inside it? Nothing to do with taxes. It was filled with pictures, selfies, screenshots of messages, even scanned copies of fake hotel reservations. There were dozens of women. Different names, different locations. Some looked recent. Some dated back years. There were emails too. He used different names for different women. Chris, David, Ryan. He had built entire fake identities, rotating them like a sick game. And somehow he kept all of it. Like trophies, I called him. He answered like nothing was wrong. "Hey, Sarah. How's everything?" I said nothing for a few seconds. Then I said, "You told someone I died, Mark." Silence. I continued, "You built fake identities. You kept pictures. You lied to every woman you met. And you kept the proof like a goddamn scrapbook." He started denying. "You're being dramatic. That's not what you think it is. You told another woman I died. Explain that to me, Mark. Make that make sense." He started yelling. Accused me of invading his privacy. Said I was ruining his reputation. I hung up. A day later, Lisa texted me. "Hey, you might want to see this." She sent me a screenshot. It was a Facebook post from a woman in Denver. She wrote, "I just found out the man I've been dating for 9 months is married and also told someone his wife died. If you know a guy named Mark A., who works in IT consulting and travels often, please message me." The post had hundreds of shares. People started commenting, tagging friends, sharing similar stories. Some women said he had ghosted them. Others said they had suspicions but didn't think it could be this bad. One woman said he promised to propose. Another said he had borrowed money from her. A third said she had introduced him to her kids. At this point, I feel like I don't even know who I was married to. Mark wasn't just a cheater. He was something else, something darker. A manipulator. A liar. Maybe worse. And now it's not just between me and him anymore. There are women all over the country finding each other, piecing together their own heartbreak. Some want answers. Some want revenge. Some just want to warn others. I don't know what to do next. Part of me wants to just delete everything and move on. But another part wants to make sure every single woman he fooled knows exactly who he is. And I haven't even told you what Clarissa told me at the end of our call. She said, "He told me you died of cancer." He even described the hospital. The last words he said you told him. That was when I started crying. He made up my death. He gave it details. He gave it closure. I thought I had reached the worst of it. Turns out I was only scratching the surface. What happened next shook me even more. The kind of twist you see in movies, not real life. But this was real. Too real. A week after the Facebook post started making the rounds, I got something in the mail. No return address. Just my name. Handwritten. Inside was a USB stick. No note. No explanation. I almost didn't plug it in. But I did. There were 3 video files on it. I clicked the first one. It was footage of Mark. In a hotel room. He was talking to a woman who wasn't Lisa or Clarissa. She was younger, probably early 20s. He was pouring wine. Telling her about his grief and how his wife died last year in a car crash. A car crash, not cancer this time. He had her completely convinced. He was playing the broken man role like a pro. The second video? Same hotel room. Different woman. The third? A voice recording. This time, it was Mark talking to someone on the phone, saying things like, "She doesn't suspect anything. I'm working late again tonight. She won't check." He laughed. Then he said, "They always believe it. You just gotta sell the story." I sat at my kitchen table for over an hour, just staring. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, stunned. Who sent this to me? Was it one of the women? Was it someone who had caught on to him before I did? Was it him? At this point, I had no interest in hearing from Mark. But curiosity got the better of me. I checked one of his old email accounts again. I had access now. He didn't change the password. There were emails from a second, secret bank account. Not one I knew about from our joint finances. It was registered under a different name. But the mailing address matched his. I followed the breadcrumb trail. And what I found? He had been taking money from our shared savings. Slowly. Just a few hundred here, a few thousand there. Transferring it into this private account. For years. All while telling me we couldn't afford a new car. Or that we had to wait on fixing the roof. I felt sick. Physically sick. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. He wasn't just lying. He was stealing from me. It was a Thursday afternoon. I had just come home from work. I was still processing everything, trying to figure out what to do with the USB, the account, the emails. Then the doorbell rang. A woman stood there. She looked maybe 35. Well-dressed. Tired eyes. She said, "Are you Sarah?" I nodded slowly. She took a deep breath. "I think we need to talk." I was engaged to Mark. I nearly fell over. "Come in," I said. We sat. She told me everything. Her name was Melanie. She lived in San Antonio. Mark had been seeing her for nearly 2 years. Told her he was divorced. Said I was unstable and he had to cut me off for his own peace. She showed me the ring. It was beautiful. Elegant. Costly. I recognized it. It was my grandmother's. I had given it to Mark when we were planning to pass it on to our daughter someday, if we ever had one. He told me he put it in a safety box. He had given it to another woman. I nearly lost it. Melanie was in tears too. She had no idea. She said she only found out because she saw the viral post and recognized his face. The day after Melanie visited, Mark finally texted me. First time since I'd confronted him. "You're making things worse than they are. You're blowing this up. Let it go." No apology. No regret. Just anger at me for exposing him. I didn't respond. He sent one more. "You think you know everything, but you don't. And maybe I don't. Because I still have no idea how far this goes. How many women? How many lies? How many identities he's used? There's a part of me that wonders if I ever really knew him at all. And I haven't even started on the private investigator. Yeah, I hired one. And what he found? It had been 2 months since I found out about the other women. 2 months since I discovered the secret bank account, the fake stories about my death, the USB full of lies. 2 months since I stopped being a wife and started becoming someone else, someone who wasn't blind anymore. But the biggest twist was still coming. And when it did, everything cracked open. I wasn't sleeping well. I'd fall asleep, then wake up sweating with questions spinning in my head. How long had this been going on? Who else was hurt by him? What else was he hiding? So I hired someone. A private investigator named Raoul. Quiet, smart, straight to the point. He didn't flinch when I told him everything. He just said, "Give me a week." In 4 days, he called me. "There's something you need to see," he said. "But I'd rather not send it over the phone. Meet me tomorrow." We met at a diner in downtown Dallas. He slid a manila folder across the table and said, "He's not who you think he is. And this is worse than cheating." I opened it. Inside were copies of travel documents, fake IDs, a passport under a different name, plane tickets, multiple ones, all booked under aliases. One flight was booked just 2 days before his last business trip to Chicago. He hadn't gone to Chicago. He had gone to Mexico City. With Lisa. There were even photos. Raul had pulled images from security footage at the airport. Mark and Lisa, hand in hand, smiling like they were on their honeymoon. They weren't just dating. They were planning a life together. At this point, I wasn't scared anymore. I was angry. Not just for myself, but for every woman he fooled. Every lie he told. Every piece of my life he chipped away while smiling to my face. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I invited him to dinner. Neutral ground. A restaurant near downtown. A casual spot we used to go to before everything fell apart. I told him I wanted to talk. I acted calm. I told him I wanted closure. He agreed. Probably thought I was giving in. What he didn't know was that Clarissa, Lisa, and Melanie would be there, too. And Raul? He was waiting outside, just in case things got out of hand. I sat at the table first. Then Lisa walked in. Then Clarissa. Then Melanie. Mark showed up 10 minutes late. He stopped cold when he saw us. His face drained of color. Lisa stood up first. Sit down, Mark. Let's talk. He sat, but his hands were shaking. Then I laid it all out. The photos. The fake names. The secret trips. The USB videos. The stolen ring. The fake cancer story. The car crash lie. The money from our savings. He tried to deny it. He tried to gaslight us. You all are just jealous. You're twisting this. You misunderstood. Melanie slammed her hand on the table. You told me she was dead. You wore my ring. You met my parents. Clarissa leaned forward. I stayed up nights talking you through your grief. You played me. Lisa just whispered, you ruined me. And I still miss you sometimes. That's what hurts the most. Mark looked like a cornered animal. Then he snapped. You were all using me. You needed someone, and I showed up. That's not my fault. I didn't ask for this. The restaurant had gone dead silent. People were watching. Someone from another table muttered, what a piece of shit. Mark stormed out. Didn't even pay for his drink. Clarissa cried at the table. Melanie cursed under her breath. Lisa looked like she'd aged 10 years in the last 10 minutes. I just sat there numb. Raul came in, sat next to me, and quietly said, you did the right thing. We stayed for another hour. Talking, venting, supporting each other. That night, I cried myself to sleep. But it wasn't because I wanted him back. It was because I had finally accepted who he really was. The divorce was finalized 2 weeks later. I got half of everything, plus repayment for the money he took from our savings. I gave the other women what I could, info, support, whatever they needed. We still talk sometimes. We're bound together by something horrible, but it's real. Lisa moved away. Clarissa started therapy. Melanie started writing a book. As for Mark? Last I heard, he left the state. Changed jobs. Probably changed his name again. I haven't heard from him since that night. And I don't want to. I still have trust issues. I still flinch when the phone rings unexpectedly. I still have days where I wonder, how did I not see it? But I'm also stronger now. Wiser. Angrier, maybe. But not bitter. Because the truth set me free. Even if it came wrapped in heartbreak. He made up my death to get sympathy from other women. But in the end, he had to watch me come back to life and stand across from him with all his lies on the table. I didn't just survive. I burned the whole house of cards down and walked away with my head high.